Hello, everyone, and welcome to Math 2413 for Summer Session 2, Cal 1. My name's Terry Barnes, and I'll be helping you with this pretty quick journey. So what I want to do in the orientation video is go through what the course looks like, how it's set up, and talk a little bit about what the expectations are. So pay attention to things, and hopefully most of your questions will be answered. So the first thing, let's look at the way this is set up. This panel has announcements, and there will be at least one a week. I usually do them on Saturday or Sunday for the upcoming week, but there may be an occasional announcement that pops in there, so be sure you're checking those. This panel is where you're going to access Pearson. There is normally a purple oblong here. If it is not there, in which case it's not in this particular session I'm in, you can use this pull down session and open it in a new window, and we'll do that in a minute. Over here is the content that I've pulled out for you. Now, some things are campus-wide. These two are, but problem sets, lecture notes, playlist, schedule and office hours, handouts, calendar, final exam review. Those are all important, and those are things that I think you need to have access to. Up across the top, you can also get announcements there. Assessments is where you could look at your attendance or your grades in Brightspace, although Pearson is the first grade book I would check on. They should be synced, but if something's out of sync, always count on Pearson and Brightspace will catch up. Content, you can also see all the content here. And then the e-text. The e-text, if you need to look at the book, you could go there. So that's kind of the way everything's set up. So let's look at some items and see what we need to look at. All right, so let's look at the first one here, the instructor plan. And so we'll go here. We're not going to read everything. You should look through everything, but I want to show a couple of things. There's my information, has my office phone, and while I am not on campus, my office phone, if you left me a voicemail, it would send me an email, and then I could listen to that voicemail. So if you needed to do that, you could. You don't need a hard copy of the text. This is inclusive access. That means your e-text is included with your tuition payments. You do need a TI graphing calculator. Now that's a picture of an 8384. I tend to use the 84 plus CE. If I'm adding anything, that's what that will be in. But as long as you have a graphing calculator that works for you, then that's fine. When I teach about something with the calculator, I'll be using this one. So if you're doing something on your own and you know what you're doing, that's fine. Okay, let's move down. Course attendance. The college policy is if you're absent for 25% or more of assigned work for an online course, you can be withdrawn from the course. So the way I take attendance in this online course, every Sunday, I will check for the previous week and see if you logged in, if you worked on a homework or a test. As long as you did work on one of those, you are present for that previous week. If you did not log in and do those, now, if you log in and you just look around the course, that doesn't count. You've got to work in a homework, work on a test. So you get 2 of those weeks of non-participation before I would consider withdrawing you. You will get an email on Sunday if you're on that list. And so keep up with that. It's easy to be counted present, but it's also if you're doing nothing, if you're saving it till the end, that could get you withdrawn. So keep in mind. There's a course outline in the syllabus, but we'll wait and look at the actual calendar that I have. Grading, so let's look here. My course is divided into homework, tests, and the final exam. So in homework, you can work on each question 3 times before it will regenerate. So you can keep working on homework till you get the grade you want, which I'm hoping is 100. So there's no reason you should not do that. And that counts 30% of your total average. The tests, there are 5 tests plus a comprehensive final, and there are no makeup tests, but that really doesn't apply. This isn't face to face. So you get to take the online test twice if you need to. The higher grade is the one that will work in the average, and tests will count 50% of your final average. Now, before, and this is in red because it's important, before each test is available, all the homework for that chapter or that area must be completed with at least a 70. So you've got to pass every homework section before the test will even open for you. So make sure you are meeting that prerequisite. And then the final exam, which in Brightspace is listed, in Pearson and Brightspace, it's listed as a quiz. So when you're saying, what's the quiz? That's the final exam. You only get to take that once. It counts 20% of your final average. All right, so that's about the way the grading goes. I have talked about this online course and attendance, so that's what's in red there. And there's the actual MCC attendance policy. So I think those are the highlights for the syllabus. So let's go look at the next item. All right, let's go down to the calendar, and we're just going a little out of order here. All right, so if we look at the calendar, you'll note that it says week 1, week 6. Everything is available July 13th, the first day of the course, except the final. The final is not available till August 2nd. And then over here in the due date, everything is ultimately due August 12th. All the grades have to be in by 6 p.m. on August 12th, because then I have to turn around and put in grades into the system. So you'll note the chapter tests are in yellow, and chapter 2 and then chapter 3 is sections 1 through 5, and then sections 6 through 10. And there's 4, and there's chapter 5. So everything except the final is available first day. Everything is due August 12th. And remember, for attendance purposes, you cannot wait and do all the work in the last 2 weeks. You must be working to be present. So keep that in mind. All right, let's go to the next one. All right, let's get to what I consider the meat of my course. Right here, you have problem sets, lecture notes, video lecture playlists. For every section of every chapter that we cover, there is a set of problems, a set of lecture notes, and a video. So let's look at the problem sets for chapter 2. All right, these are links. So now these don't happen to be in order, I need to reorder them. Let's open 2.1. So I'm going to open that. All right, so here's a problem set, and you can see there are, let's see, nine questions. So you might, if you've had some calculus before, definitely college algebra, you should be able to do number 1. But when we start getting these, sometimes you're going to know what to do and sometimes you won't. So I would either print these or have these to look at. This is practice for the homework. All right. So if you were in a face-to-face class, this is what we would work on in class. All right. Let's go look at the lecture notes for section 2.1. All right. So here's the lecture notes. We'll go in and you see there's links for all of the chapters. Here's chapter 2 for lecture notes. We're going to run into the same thing. We're going to have links. All right, let's go here. That's the right one. Let's see. Oh, that's an alternative for number 2. So we need to go back. Let me go back. All right, so that was question number 2. I'm so sorry. Let's go here. All right, so if you were in class, these are the things that we would go over on the screen and we would be working things out. This is finding average rate of change, etc. Then we get down to the slope of a curve and we're going through that. And then eventually we get to those problem sets. So now you see the work for the problem and the answers. And maybe for some of us, that's all you need. Oh, I see what she did. Yes, I know, I remember that, or yes, I get that. And so the lecture notes may be enough to get you ready for your homework. So that's the lecture notes. The next thing we need to look at is the videos. All right, so the next thing right here, video lecture playlist, we hit that. These are on YouTube. I have a channel for every course I teach. This will take us to the calculus. So if we go there, and as I said, every section will have a video. And so um, there's the video for 2.1 and all the way through 2.6. So you'll have me talking and going through the questions and through the work. So you have, it's as if you're in class for the lecture. And you will have that for every section. All right. Okay, few more items on the content before we actually go in and look at the homework. There's a section for handouts, and there are some good things there. If you need help with an Inspire, say you use an Inspire and you don't know how to do something we're doing that may be in that document, handouts for calculus are here. And let's go see what we have. Okay, so here is a good trig handout. So that's really a basic trig handout. That's important. There's some geometry formulas. And then here we get derivatives of trig, a full derivative and integral formula. This one, curve sketch, and I will also put this in an announcement as we get closer. You will need this for the Chapter 4 test. You must fill out one of these, and it counts a good portion of your test. So there, that's in handouts, and more derivatives, some calculator phone apps, and here is an algebra functions and models. That's a lot of formulas, information on algebra, and that may help you some as well. So all of that is in handouts if you need any of it. All right, so we looked at the calendar already, and final exam review. When you are getting close to the final exam, you'll want to go and go through that review there. All right, so let's say you have looked at 2.1 and you went through the problem set and the lecture notes. You've watched the video and you say, I'm ready for homework. So again, you can hit this purple button or you can hit Access Pearson here. And so if we go here, this will come up. Now you will not have these items here. Those are instructor tools. You will have this down here. So let's do this. Let's go in the way you probably should go in right here. Open My Lab and Mastering. Now, you're probably not, you won't see any of this down here, but here's what you will see on yours, because I'm on mine, of course. So if we go to assignments, you see everything that is assigned in the course, and they're all blue clickable links. So, and the due dates are here, August 12th. Everything is ultimately due August 12th. So we're going to look at one in a minute. But you do also know that when you get a test, it tells you the time limit that you have. You've got 120 minutes, 2 hours, and you have 2 tries. You have 2 tries on all those chapter tests. You have the final exam is not showing here because it's not available yet, but it will be down here at the bottom and it will say 0 of 1. So keep that in mind. Also, the green flags are there to remind you you have to pass those items before the test will open. So the green flag is to warn you of that. All right, let's look at 2.1, see what that looks like. So if you were to get started, let's go here. All right, so this is like that, and you note there's only 5 questions in this homework because some of them are long, and the problem set was longer than that, but this is what we're going to have for the homework. So find the average rate here, and this is the first one. So you know what to do. You've already looked at your stuff. So click on the box, and in the box, when you click there, then you get these icons down at the bottom. So if you need a fraction, if you need an absolute value, a square root, if you hit more, you get more things. So if you need infinity, there's a symbol for infinity right here. There's lots of things, integral sign, definite integral, regular. So there's lots of things. Those won't show up until you click in that box. All right, so the other thing that I want to show you is, so I'm going to put some gibberish in here, and I'm going to say check answer. And it'll tell you that's incorrect, reminds you of the formula. Okay, I put some different gibberish. Let me just put the same thing. And it's still wrong. Now, if you'll note at the bottom, it's now saying final check. Okay, I'm going to check that again. And it says that's incorrect. The correct answer was 196, and there's my gibberish. And I say, okay. Now, I have another part that I need to do, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to go through this and hit check answer, and that's okay. Do it again. Okay. Because I want you to see what happens when we get. All right, so now at the end of the question, you can either say, okay, I'm done with this, I'll come back to it and say next question, or you can hit similar question. If I do that, it's just going to generate new numbers. And that's how you can continue to work on your homework and get what you need. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. All right, so let's go back and look at something else. So in some of the tests, everything except chapter 2, there should be work to show in each chapter. So if you go into this, that's telling me I can't do it, but I can go through. All right, so if I started this, let me see. Let me go here. Okay, so on that little button right there, the SWs are the ones that say, okay, you're going to show work. So if I went into this one and I need to show work, well, you want to hit the show work button, and this comes up. Now, here's what I need you to do. If you have a tablet where you can write on the screen, you could write your work right here. If you do not, then do your work on paper and take a picture of it. Then you can hit here on the photo icon, and hopefully you've saved it on your desktop or somewhere where you know, like maybe a folder, show work for calculus. And then you can go there, get the work, and insert the image. So you could absolutely do it that way. If you run into trouble, you can always email me the work and just say, this is my work for chapter test 3, section 610. And then I can go back and grade, because it will not grade your test until I've gone over your work and said that's good. The other thing to remember, if you do not show work, whether you show it in the test or you send it to me, if you do neither of those, then you get no credit for those questions. And that could be really harmful to your average. So you have to show your work, and that doesn't mean go to ChatGPT and copy and paste. It means show me how you're working the questions. So, and then box your answers for me. That always helps as well. So that's important. All right, I'm going to get out of this and out of this and leave, and we're good. Okay, so you should encounter that in every test except chapter 2. Chapter 2, I don't believe I have any show work questions. And so that should help you with that. Let's see if there's anything else we need to look at. I think that should get you started. And so I want you to feel free to email me with problems and issues. When you do send me something, that was the one thing that I did not go over. Let me get back into a homework. Okay, so we're back in the section that we looked at. So I'm going to go back in. Now, you've missed this question, right? And you're still not understanding. So if you've tried everything you can think of, go to Get More Help down at the bottom, and you see Ask My Instructor. Click on that. And if you do, it's going to send me the exact numbers you were working with and for your question, because everybody will have different ones. And you can type in here, Ms. Barnes, I've tried this and this, or I don't understand this part. What am I doing wrong here? Now, what I don't want is for you to do that and just say, I don't get this, because that doesn't give me enough to help you. You've already, we will have had a video, we will have had lecture notes, that sort of thing. But if something is really troubling you on the question, I totally want you to send this. It's the best way for me to help you on your particular question. So you'll do your type, you'll send, and it will send directly to me from you, and I'll know this is what you're working on. So ask my instructor when you need that kind of help. All right, I think that does it. Good luck. I look forward to working with you, and believe it or not, this will go pretty quickly. Have a good 6 weeks and try to have some fun while you're doing your math.